Good morning, everybody. It's I, Stippling Sat, and I'm here hard at work at my local dive bar. Remember, everybody, please like and subscribe, share the video out. It helps out greatly. This is take two in my video. When I did take one, I was working on this part here. The problem was that I had the camera angle, so the camera was down here. The camera was down. It's like I was down. My hand was down here, so I was talking, but you weren't seeing what I was working on. So we're doing take two now. So, and also what helped was the music was very loud the first time around. We have a new bartender here, and you know how it is when you have a brand new bartender. You have to almost retrain the bartender for what you like, and get to know the bartender so you know what they're like. So it didn't seem right to go to her hey, I need you to turn the music down for the next half hour, 45 minutes. No, you gotta work your way through, and then when she gets to know you, then I can do that. So fortunately, halfway through that video, the music started to get lower. So, and I did notice the normal bartender. She's here as a patron today, so I think she said, hey, for the morning crew, it's a bit loud, turn it down. So, which, hey, thank you, Vanessa, for having her do that. So I worked on the pencils for this guy and this guy during the week. So now I'm working on that. This is the lost pages for the Diaz brothers. This is their fan art contest. I'm working on my submission for it. You can see how it's really coming along. I mean, really all I've got left is I've got to finish doing him. I got to finish drawing so I can transfer it over here. Jazz, We the People, and Krim fighting the eyeball teeth monster. They're done. These images are done, so I can go in. One thing I'm going to go in is I'm going to put in a little bit of the page here. So, you know what, I'll do it right now for you guys since I've got the heavier ink out. So I'm going to just go in, just do a little bit, not a whole lot. I don't want to do a whole lot, but in these spots here. Okay. And all you're doing is you're implying that the one page is overlapping the other page. Okay, so you don't need to have the page completely drawn. Let's change the angle, because right now, let's see, that's better. That's the other thing also, it's nice when you're doing these as opposed to the time lapse, because I can move the paper around, it doesn't bother you. I've noticed that when I do the time lapse videos, if I'm moving the paper around like this, for each time I'm changing how I'm inking, it throws off the rhythm of the stippling of the video. So I'm going to avoid doing that. Now, one thing also that I'm doing here is, if you can take notes, I'm doing a lot with the images. So like this tentacle here. Okay, so we'll come in, just go heavy on the underside of the tentacle. Okay. So because I'm going on the underside of the tentacle, okay, I'm intentionally putting this tentacle in here, so that way you can tell that's coming off of the panel into the image area. And then we'll just do a few dots. We don't want to do a whole lot, just a few. And what you're doing is you're creating the illusion of where the line is. So this way it keeps me from having to do a holding line in that area. And the goal when I'm completely done is to not have a holding line at all around the outer image. You take a look at this page up here, okay? Because of how I got the smoke going up the panel, up the side of the page, the smoke is creating the edge of these pages, so I don't need to put in this, I won't have to put in this jagged edge. I won't have to do an outline or a holding line. So when I'm done with these three panels, I'm going to have to go in and see where I need to add maybe more, or like here, I intentionally put these tentacles in and add some extra lines, okay? Because these guys coming in, like this line here, here, these lines, them stopping creates that holding line of the edge of the paper without having to do it. It takes a lot of work, and it takes a lot of like thinking and planning. That's one thing that if you look at my Wraith of God piece, when it was being judged by Aaron and Shelley, one of the things that she commented on right off the bat was, if you take notice, she was like, my gosh, and she said, imagine all the planning that went into doing that page. And she was right. I couldn't just go straight in. I had to plan it out. Plan out where the people were in each part of that image and how they interacted with each other. It wasn't just like creating the design. You have to be very careful. So that way when you do the image, you're able to do as much as possible to avoid having to do a holding line. I find that you have to understand, I can never be Bernie Wrightson. Okay? No one can. The closest person that comes to Bernie Wrightson is Kelly Jones. And Kelly Jones is almost there where he can create an image and not have any holding lines. Okay? That's one of the things I really looked at when I focus on Bernie. I focus on how he's able to create the image without any holding lines. Bernie was really good at using a lot of textures to put in as few holding lines as possible. So, now here's one example I'm going to do. Is like the back of his foot is black. The black of his boot. So he's got these like braces and these shield guards on the front of his boot. The back of the boot, he doesn't have anything. So right here, I'm going to stipple the back of the boot. Okay, because I'm stippling the back of the boot, what's happening is it's creating the image and it's creating the holding line for this tentacle. Okay, and by hitting it harder, so it's a different kind of black, it's a harsher, more of a solid black, it creates separation between the two images. Now, having to do this, what I'm also doing is I'm also flip the image, so I'm the nib. So I'm not using the front end of the nib the way most people stipple. I'm using the back end, and the importance of it is, right now, is I want to have this foot as black as possible. Okay, now I know the first thing to say is once this is shrunk, it's going to blend, and you're absolutely right. For right now, I'm not going to focus on what's going to look like when it's shrunk down. I'm focusing on what it looks like now, because if I can master that now and make it very clear now, it helps with when it gets shrunk down. It's more clear. It's not going to be completely clear, but it's going to be more clear. Okay. So you can see where we got the boot going on. Another thing also is that where with this the masquerade guy is he's got the sword, and that's a hard edge. I'm not going to do that with a straight rule. I'm just going to go in very carefully when I have newer ink on, is then put the dots in. So right now I'm just working on the tentacles. So you start off like here's where the tentacle was cut. So you're going to just hammer away very lightly, and you can see where it's like it's not really putting dots down. So we need to add some ink to my nib. So I'm going to add the ink to the nib. Now when I go in, okay, and I'm using the okay. So let's start off right here. We'll go with the hand guard. Okay, so when I'm working on this image here, I'm going to go with a much harsher dot line because I'm using newer ink, whereas here I use old ink, and because I'm using old ink, that's how I'm able to get that gray tone even in the really dark areas. It's still semi-gray as opposed to these blacks here. it's because I'm using old ink, so it doesn't feed through as smoothly. And that's the reason why these images over here have a gray tone, whereas these lines here have a much more solid black to them because it's new ink and and it flows through easily. So and you can see how the dot is much more stronger black. So this is how I do it. This is how the magic is done. Okay, and again, you take notice. I'm doing the images in the background first, because the more I can do in the background, okay, the less I have to draw of that sword blade. So this background, by working on the background lines, I don't need to worry about doing a series of lines straight line, or doing a series of dots of creating that form straight line. That's intentional. So that way, so like same thing here is like how his pants are black. So let's go in, and we will then do that. Let's see here. So by doing this, creating this darkness here, okay, it's going to help that pop. Plus, also, it'll help with creating that dark with this newer ink. It creates a much more darker black, which will help him, because he's smaller, help him pop against the rest of the image. So now what I might have to do is I might have to, like in this area here, like right this corner here, there's nothing going on. Okay, so what I might have to do is put in a couple dots here, a couple dots here, just to give you that hint of the corner. So, but again, we just focus on creating the form. And again, you notice all I'm doing is just putting in some dots putting in some white dots, and it creates the form in the image. Okay, so let's see here, what campaigns are going on here. We got Billy Tucci, his omnibus, his She omnibus. It is doing quite well. And yes, I know all these tentacles look like penises. The Maquis is chopping off the heads of penises. Hey, he's helping the trans community. That's what he's doing. He's helping the trans community. They want to transition from men to female. Well, final step is chopping off the junk. He's helping out. He's chopping off the junk of SJWs, so they can complete their journey. So maybe that's what this feature is. He's a representative of SJWs, and he's full. It's a toxic man trapped in a toxic male body, and all this slime is like is flaccid penises, so it needs to all be chopped off. Maybe that's what it is. Yes, I'm cracking a joke. I'm not saying for anybody to go out and do that to a person. And that's the sad thing of the reality. I crack a joke like that, I need to put a disclaimer in, because people have forgotten what it's like to have a sense of humor and to get a joke. Ugh. So, but okay, I'm going to finish this guy in a time-lapse video. So I hope you enjoyed it, and I will be doing him as a time-lapse video, and then I'll be moving on and I'll be working on my own page for the Scat Investigators. I'm having a great time to work on the Scat Investigators. Here's the thing is that here's where it gets tricky for me with working on the Scat Investigators. It's getting to the point where it's like I gotta show some reveals, and I really don't want to, but I gotta do some revealing so I can maintain showing you the progress of the book. This page that I'm working on right now with Mac and Bob out in the hills, this here is the page, and if you look on my stream, if you look on my channel, you'll see on Wednesday I posted a video of these leaves being done, and yesterday I posted a video of this tree. So I'll be working on this later today. I'll be making time-lapse videos to show later this week. And this is one of the last, right, like this page is like the last page, I guess you'd say, of character building and working on the interrelationship between Mac and Bob before the action starts. And once, like, we've got, here's like, this is it. I mean, he's been drinking from the bottle, and we show that he's been drinking all day. We can all see what Bob's doing. Bob's taking a leak. And then they sit down on this log at the top of the hill, and they're looking out on the mountains, and you can see where the sun's going to be setting. I'll have to do that with color. When I go to do color, I'll do that. And then they're really like Mac is drunk, is really drunk, and there's a reason. And once you get in the story, you understand why he's been drinking all day. But he's been drinking all day, and you can see where he's kind of like wanting to lay into him, lay down the log. Because remember, Mac is older than Bob. Mac's been doing this longer than Bob. And just then we'll be drawing the panel of him and Bob, and they're just about to get tackled by whatever the horror creature is. Remember, with Scat investigators, these guys are game wardens in Pennsylvania, and their job is to protect the monsters that go bump in the night. If you go out and you got yourself killed by, let's say, a werewolf, or you got yourself eaten by the mummy, their job is not to get vengeance for the victim. Their job is to perform the cover-up. No, Mr. and Mrs. Brown, your son wasn't killed by a werewolf. It was a bear with rabies. That's what it was. Mr. and Mrs. Smith, I'm sorry to tell you, it was a giant German shepherd with syphilis. That's the reason why your son was maimed and murdered, and why his genitals were in the shape they were in. That's the reason why. It was not a werewolf. I understand you think it was a werewolf. It wasn't. These guys are performing the cover-ups. Okay, as the saying goes with the X-Files, the truth is out there. Mulder and Scully were always trying to expose the truth. No. If Mulder and Scully were in the Scat investigators, okay, they would be there. They would always be there a dollar a day, a dollar short a day late. I know I'm screwing that up, but you get what I'm saying. These are the two guys that are walking away just in the nick of time, having performed the cover-up. So Mulder and Scully aren't finding jack shit. They're finding what they think. These are the clues of a werewolf attack. No. It was not a werewolf attack. No. Hey, you know what? You guys want to say it's Bigfoot? Go right ahead. No, they don't know that. Bigfoot's 3 counties over. That's where he hangs out. So that's what the whole premise of the Scat investigators is their job is to perform the cover-up. The reason why I'm stippling randomly as I explain this to you is because this whole area behind them will need to be covered in dots, because you probably can't see it too clearly, but there's some lines going on here. There's speed lines going on, okay? And what it is when I get done doing all the stippling, what I'm going to do of the whole thing, I'm going to go in with a whiteout pencil or go in with a razor and pull away from like this spot right here. Just pull streaks away so you get jagged lines. The whole point is to imply that something's rushing in to hit them from behind. So that's the reason why this whole area has to be covered. And it doesn't have, this is another thing that's cool about doing the stippling, is you can see that how I'm doing it. It's not a... I intentionally do this, and the goal is not to get a even tone, like as if I were to put a zipatone screen on behind them. No, I want the dots to be the vary in size and in depth and in concentration, so that way the whole point is that you're implying that these dots are forming foliage of the forest. Because you can see with this image here, we've got a lot of foliage. We've got the tree, we have the trees, we have the leaves on the tree, we have all this in the ground. And what is this? Well, it's foliage. I'm not going to draw every single blade and every single leaf, but these dots and whatnot, it implies the foliage on the ground. So, but I'm going to get back to work on this. Like I said, the time-lapse video will be on the lost pages. Will be this guy right here. I don't think it's going to take me that long. I think it's going to be a relatively short time-lapse video. And then the other videos that you'll see during the week will be of this panel here and of this panel here. So I'm going to get back to work. You guys all have a great day. Remember, everybody, life, yes, it is stressful, but that's why you just take it all one dot at a time.